Well, I was just showing like one bar on the battery. Yeah, should be.
Test.
Yeah, just like, you know, there's a couple of people that
I just hear that white noise, and maybe when they're talking, it'll be better.
If I said something right now, it'll come through on that?
Yeah, it will.
Test. 1, 2. Test.
Yeah, once people are talking. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Good evening. I think we're about to begin the meeting. Thank you. My name is Earl Jones. I'm co-chair of the commission. I'm sitting next to my colleague Jason Nemes, who is the other co-chair. We're going to go down and introduce ourselves, and then we're going to begin the meeting.
Thank you. Representative Jason Nemes. I'm the representative of the 33rd District. I've got Eastern Jefferson County, Oldham, and Shelby. The heart of the district's Middletown. It's good to be here tonight, though, because I grew up right down the road on Miller's Lane, right off of Valley Station Road. So I've been run off of they're no longer here anymore, been run off of the basketball courts and the swimming pool that used to be right where we're sitting, or almost right where we're sitting, a number of times. So it's good to be home, and so I'm glad to see everybody here. I do want to acknowledge three people who are here who represent you all. And that's Representative Jared Bauman, who's here. He's in the back. Councilman Charlie Khalil Batchin is here in the back. And then also Councilman Dan Syme Jr. is here somewhere as well. And so thank you all for showing up as well. But good to see you.
I'm Councilwoman Cindy Fowler. You're in my district. So I'll go from the county line on the west side of Dixie Highway all the way up to Greenwood, and then from Gene Snyder south, I'm about a mile off the road to the west. I'm sorry, to the east. But happy to have you here tonight. This is by far our biggest crowd. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mayor Bonnie Jung, City of Douglas Hills. That's in between Jeffersontown and Middletown. And I'm also past president of the Jefferson County League of Cities organization that represents all of the 80 cities in Jefferson County.
Good evening. My name is Scott Schoenberger. I'm actually not an elected official. I'm the president and CEO of the L.J. Schneider Company, which owns the Galt House and a few other properties in the city of Louisville. And I am one of the representatives for GLI. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the third public meeting of the commission. We're all glad to be here. As I think you all may know, the commission was created last year by the legislature with a charge to review the merger of the city and the county into metro government, and to report back on issues that concerns that have been risen, things that work well, things that don't work well, and to make suggestions for changes if indeed those are determined. The purpose of the public meetings is to hear from residents of Jefferson County and to please provide us any suggestions or concerns you all have as a result or growing out of the merger, any things that are not working for you or things that you think are going well. We have a list of sign-ups. Those, I understand some people would like to speak but have not signed up. If there's time left at the end of the program, please do come up. We'll start with Mr. Yoakum. Oh, Yoakum. There you go.
Thank you guys for having us all out here. I put the word out about the meeting tonight. The last one, they said they had 2 people. Well, we got a lot more than 2 people tonight. Thank you all for coming out. I'm the commander of VFW 1181. I want you guys up there to know, if you're elected officials, we don't do a lot of politicking at my post, but we had the mayor there Saturday to recognize 5 of our oldest vets. And I saw a lot of you there. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming out. Just to let you know, I'm the commander of 1181, but we've got 8 posts in my district. I called the district commander before I came here. That's 1,742 votes that you guys can get in Jefferson County. We also have another post in Bullitt County that you can't get their vote unless you're running for governor or something like that. And we're non-political, but the mayor was there Saturday to recognize my 5 oldest vets. Cindy Fowler was there. We had an awesome time. But here's my complaint. Riverport, International Riverport. You're going to hear more than me, but it joins me. And the owner of the company, I won't call his name, but I know it, and I got his phone number right here, come to my house and sat under my carport with my wife and I, and told us when the Riverport comes in, they're going to tile it and cover it with dirt, plant shrub and trees like they did up here at the Riverport. Well, this is International Riverport. I've been in international countries. Let me tell you something, guys. There was a cement truck out there fixing the drainage, and I told my wife, you see that cement truck? Where? I don't see no cement truck. It's 22 feet underground. That's why it's a wide open ditch, 22 feet, 2 feet of my property. I don't know what you think about International Riverport, but I'm kind of down on the builders that are building it, and you're going to hear more than me complaining. They took about 10 feet of my property. And I talked to the foremans, and it's always, well, you got to talk to TC, the owner, and all that. No, I'm talking to you guys now. If you have anything to do with that south of Gene Snyder Freeway, come and see my house. a cement truck in the ditch bank, and my wife couldn't see it from my carport until it pulled out. That is unreal. And the owner sat under my carport twice and told the wife and I, we're going to tile that, cover it with dirt, do like they did over here on the Greenbelt, build a berm and plant trees in it. False. You can come to my house if you're coming fast and you can't stop. You're going to be 20 feet down. I'm telling you, it's unreal out here in our communities where I live. That was an 80-acre field at one time, turkeys, deer, and all that. Now it's concrete. Thank you.
Bob Higglin.
Hurry up, we start the clock, buddy. We're working against seniors, Bonnie. I gotta hold it and read. Huh? I ain't worried about that. I'll be here all night if you want to. Let's just get one in each hand. My name's Bob Higglin. I represent Kentucky Indian Conservative Action Group. First of all, I want to read something to you, short, and it's a quote from a former mayor of Louisville, Mayor Jerry Abramson. Some of you probably remember it, some of the councilmen. He was presenting the first merged government budget for the year 2003 and 2004. Someone once said, now these are his quotes, someone once said, if you want to read the story of your life, just take a look at your checkbook. The same could be said of a city's life and its budget. It reflects down the payment you make for your dream, the down payment you make for your dreams, investment in your child's college fund, saving to remodel your basement, or to pay for retirement. It tells of your day-to-day spending priorities, from groceries to car payments to phone bills to shopping sprees. To enhance the quality of life throughout our new city, from down to our urban and suburban neighborhoods. So that was a quote that Jerry made 20 years ago when this was started. I asked this question this evening: how do you think things have worked out? Seriously, in your own minds, and I'm asking each person up here, how has this worked out for you and the citizens in your area? Not so well out here in southwest Jefferson County. Just a couple of side notes here, and you probably got some numbers and figures too. In the county, we have a budget, which, by the way, since Jerry's original budget is over two times and then some larger than it was. It's over $1 billion now. But that's because we need 5 more people down there on the Metro governor's staff, 5 deputy mayors. We've never had that many deputy mayors. Thank God for that mess. But anyway, one of the figures that I have, and it's pretty interesting, of all the money collected in Jefferson County in taxes, where do you think the money's coming from? Is anybody in here paying taxes? Hold your hand up. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm talking to the right group. Well, the suburbs on the outside of I-264 pay 80% of the taxes in this county. 80%. How much did you think we got back in return out of these budgets? Oh, now it's better than that. Does anybody up here know? Anybody up here know? Come on, somebody help me out. All right, I'll tell you, it's about a 50-50 split.
30 seconds, Bob.
10 seconds. How much are we on a timer here?
30 seconds. We got 3 minutes. Yep.
Anyway, we got 50% of that 80%, supposedly. And public safety is a big issue. It was an issue when Mayor Abramson spoke. We're told that about 350 police officers short now. Actually, in reality, from experts are telling me it's more like 1,500. J-Town, for example, has 60 police officers covering roughly 4 square miles. Your chances of seeing a police officer when you go to the store is almost 100%. I drive up and down Dixie Highway every day, and there's times I can come 4 or 5 miles down Dixie and I never see a cop. 2 days in a row. It's not because 10 cops are patrolling the 3rd Division. 10 cops patrolling the 3rd Division, Cindy. My time up?
It is. And I want 2 things. One, I know you're not done. There may be more time at the end. And also, he's like an uncle to me, so if I'll call timeout on him, I'll call it on you. So, thank you, Bob.
Sorry about that. And thank you. I appreciate you folks' time coming out. You had a long ways to come to get here.
Thank you, Bob. Dan Syme Jr. And being elected doesn't give you more time, brother. 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thank you, panel. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to our constituents out here. I am Dan Syme Jr. I'm a councilman out of the 13th district. That's Fairdale, Yorktown, Scottsdale. And I won my election by claiming we were going to get shared focus in the South End, and I'm doing everything I can to get some shared focus in the South End. Our kids have been sitting on splinters for bleachers for a long time, many, many years at Nelson Hornbeck Park. We're fixing that. But it's not because the government come in and seen the need and said we're going to help you. It's because I've been busting my butt with my assistant to raise the awareness and get some action, get some stuff done. We often heard that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, we're doing a lot of squeaking and we're getting a lot of grease. But there's a lot more grease we need, and we're going to keep pushing for the South End. We talk about that we get neglected south of the Watterson, but when you get south of the Gene Snyder, it gets even worse. Trust me. We're fighting for every dollar we can get in our district, and it's a shame because there's money to go around, and I'm not sitting here going to try to diminish the need of the West End because there's need all over, but it seems like they're getting all the money. I keep hearing about these parks getting all the cash, and we're not getting anything. We have a gym. We have the largest urban forest in America in Jefferson Forest. It's beautiful. Have you heard much about it? No. That we don't have signage going in there. Everything goes to Shawnee Park or everything in the West End. And like I said, I'm not trying to diminish their need, but we have needs out here. And we have desires out here, and it's time we start being heard. That's why we flipped these 4 seats in the South End, Representative Bauman, Representative Callaway, Councilman Bashan, and myself. We flipped some pretty strong seats, and there's a reason for it. And there's a reason that you all are here as opposed to just the few that's been to these panels the last few times. You guys are hungry, you're mad, and I'm telling you, we've got some folks here that's going to go to battle for you, and we're not done yet. So keep coming to these meetings, keep raising your voice, because it is the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. We just got to keep squeaking a little bit louder, and I'm telling you, I'm here to do it for you, and I know that Charlie Batchan, he's here to squeal, and we're going to do it. If you all need anything, we have an open door policy. I have 2 offices, one downtown and one at the Platorium in Fairdale. If you need me, contact me. My assistant, Lisa Ammon, she's great for answering the call and getting solutions to the problems that you all are calling in for. So don't hesitate to call your council person, and if they're not doing the job, get rid of them and get somebody in there that will. Thank you.
So next up is Dale Gillespie, and then John Russell, you're next. So John, if you could come down and have a seat and just be ready. Mr. Gillespie.
Is it 4 minutes, Jason?
I think it's 3 minutes. Yeah.
Wow, I timed Bob at 4.5, but that's okay. I don't remember the First Amendment having a time limit, but I'll cut to the chase. My name is Dale Gillespie. I tend to talk pretty fast anyway. I don't expect any of my personal private sector problems to be solved by a huge leviathan of government that keeps growing and becoming more irresponsible, more corrupt every day. So I don't come here looking for answers because the government's never going to give you those answers. But let's just look at what's happened with the merger. Since merger passed 20 years ago now, there was a report that came out in 2013 after it had been here for 10 years. There was the, let me get my phone bigger here, the ABLE Foundation's Perspective of Merger report said that nationwide over that time, employment had grown by 1.26%. But in Louisville, employment had declined by 1%. But government spending keeps increasing steadily over that time, even though the employment went down. But worse than that, WDRB did a report in 2018 quoting the Greater Louisville Project, and this is the number I really want you to pay attention to. That over the same time period of time, as of 2018, the city of Louisville had been falling in many, many categories compared to 10 similar-sized cities. The city's made big drops in employment and health. And pay attention, the report said the life expectancy of those in the south end of Louisville since merger is as much as 12 years shorter than those in the east end. Think about that number. That was in 2018. Gilbert on WDRB reported this from the Greater Louisville Project, that since merger, the life expectancy in the south end is 12 years shorter than the east end. So in summary, the merger has been a complete failure to the south end, as many of us predicted. You really need to get to know your councilman first and find out why they passed, why they voted for the mayor's corrupt, perverted, huge budget. A $1.1 billion budget, folks, and it passed unanimously. Every single creature on the council voted for it. Not one of them opposed it. So you need to find out why they're a lapdog to the new mayor. I hear people say, oh, the last mayor was terrible. Well, this mayor is going to be more corrupt because no one is opposing what he's doing. Do we want people who are going to be a rubber stamp, or are they going to speak truth to power? Are they going to stand up to the authority, or are they just going to bow down to them? So you need to know your councilman first, find out why they are just letting the mayor do whatever he wants with the budget. And secondly, you really need to know your state rep and state senator. Because remember, when the merger went through, it had to go through the legislature first. So you need to know who your state reps and state senators are and see if they will have the intestinal fortitude to propose any kind of legislation starting in January that would get you back out of the merger. Because if, and it's a huge if you're ever going to get out of this horrible, perverted merger that these ogres have Frankfurt have given you, it starts in Frankfurt again. So you better know who your councilman is, find out why they passed the budget unanimously, and you better find out who your state rep and senator are to see if they're going to have any kind of intestinal fortitude to do anything about it. So God bless the South End and death to the New World Order.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. I would note we're only doing time, not to hurt anybody's First Amendment rights, but want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. Mr. Russell, you're up. Diane Russell, you're on deck.
Well, I'm not a talker, so here we go. I want to know a few summers, City of Louisville or Jefferson County. One simple question. Why are we paying all the bills and they're not? I just want to know that one answer. I pay twice as much as I did when we merged than now. I pay twice as much now than I did when they merged. How come my garbage costs me double, they pay none? How come my drain off costs me triple or quadruple, it costs them nothing? Why are they building low housing apartments right behind us? And it costs them nothing, but now I'm going to have to sell my house and move out. Bought my house 10 years ago, and now I got to get the hell out of there. 5.5 acres, baby. I bought prime land, worked my whole life. Now I got to get out because I'm not going to live right there. That's the only question I want to answer for. Why are we paying for everything and they ain't paying for nothing? And I want to talk at the end. That's why I want to hear y'all talk prior to me saying something else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. I would note that this is we're trying to hear and answer all the questions. I do want to point out though that it is not accurate to say they don't pay anything for garbage. The people that live inside the urban services district, which I do not and never have in my life, they do pay for garbage as well. I live in eastern Jefferson County, which is suburbs. We have to pay our own garbage as well, but I just want to be sure it's not accurate to say that they, and I think you meant the people who live in urban service district, don't pay for the garbage, because they do. Through taxes. They have an extra tax that they don't. And we're trying to get to fairness, Mr. Russell, but ma'am.
I'm Diane Russell. I've been a resident on Blevins Gap for 10 years. The recent news, it's recent for me, about our apartments that are going up. And my concern is Pond Creek. It runs in back of our house. We were told that it would not flood. And how it was answered was, I bet it won't. We have 33 acres of concrete and rooftops going up. And yes, it will flood our Pond Creek because with a day of rain, it is above its banks. I want to know who's going to monitor that, who's going to pay for the storm runoff. We pay for sewers now, sewer runoff now. Who's going to pay for that much sewer runoff and stormwater runoff? Because low-income housing will not have to pay for that. So is that our community around there? Are they going to have to pay for that? And I want to know about how the pollution for Pond Creek. Pond Creek, we have enough, I think they call them TMDLs, total maximum daily load of pollution. Who is going to monitor that? I mean, why do we have to have a piece of land, 33 acres of concrete? Why? I mean, can't anything else be done? There's already apartment complexes. Why are we being dumped on? Why do we have to have, in his area, why are we having to have all the warehouses put up? Who have we become? Are we the new projects? Yes. Yes. I mean, that's all. Thank you.
Miss Russell, as you know, that's a proposed project on those apartments. It hasn't passed yet, so that will be scrutinized by the Planning Commission, and the owners of that property have a right to, well, and that's an opinion, but it's just proposed, and so I'll be watching. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Up is Miss, and I don't know that I can read it, but I think it's William Witten. He's in your VFW post, Mr. Yoakum. Maybe you can help me with his name. Is that, okay. Okay. Whatever. So we'll let Tina go, and then I'll let you yield your time to him. Miss Burnell, is that your name?
That's me.
You're on.
Okay, thank you all for being here. I have lived in Southwest Jefferson County all of my life. We are constantly charged more and more through taxes and rate increases with no noticeable changes or improvements to our community. We had a property tax increase in 2019 and again this year, plus regular increases for JCPS, LGE, MSD, and on it goes. We are being taxed to death. Currently, we are being inundated, as you heard, by massive 3-story apartment development complexes up against single-level, single-family homes because of the mayor's unrestrained push for development at any cost and a planning commission that grants rubber stamp approval with no meaningful consideration to those adversely impacted. It is destroying the landscape and character of our neighborhoods. And I brought pictures of some of these developments, and I'd love to share those pictures with you and show you how that actually looks from a homeowner's backyard. We are taxed endlessly, yet the city has millions upon millions for this affordable housing need, while making things less and less affordable for the rest of us. In my own neighborhood's fight against a local developer, we were shocked and dismayed to learn that our elected Metro Council officials are instructed not to discuss development cases with their own constituents. It's a bad look for the city to impede communication between an elected official and his or her constituents on any matter. This city needs to be investigated and held accountable.
You're up, Mr. Higlin. Hold on just a second.
Ms. Burnell, I wanted to respond to your claim that that we can't talk about development plans. We can ask questions. We can go to the meetings. I don't know about your council person, but
my council person, Tammy Hawkins, was instructed by the county attorney's office that she could not discuss a development case with her constituents. Completely cut off.
She can't take sides. She cannot take sides.
Okay,
but she can discuss it. I mean, I go to those meetings and I discuss it. I don't, take sides. I want to hear from both sides.
Okay, well, that came from the county attorney's office, so that needs to be clarified.
Did the county attorney say that to you?
Yes, I reached out to him and I asked him, please show me the law that says my Metro council person cannot communicate with me.
Well,
and he wouldn't do it.
No, because it's not there.
It's an interpretation. You're correct. It's not there, but that is the message being relayed, and therefore it is impeding communication between me and my elected official, and that is improper.
Yep.
And it needs to stop. So if you're able to do it, please, by all means, use my name, go back down to the county attorney's office, and get this addressed.
Do you know who you talked to?
Travis Feister.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we'll do.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Part two. Okay, I left off real quick. I'll just give you a backup on this. Are we ready? You haven't started that thing yet, have you?
Not yet, buddy.
Right.
First word, button pushed.
You ready?
Go.
Okay. I want to back up here where I left off, talking about the 3rd Division where we're all sitting tonight. It covers between 71 and 80. I've got two different interpretations of square miles of police. So we get back to how many people we've got patrolling at any 12-hour period. It averages 10 officers on 80 square miles of territory. So you know what that means. You don't call a police officer if there's an accident and nobody's hurt, things like this. So it's at a critical state. Drive through any of our neighborhoods and you'll see street signs missing, rough roads that need paving, junk cars, etc. It goes on and on. Sun Valley Park Community Center, for example, has not been maintained properly for years. Check out the entrance sign to the park. Don't tell me that there ain't money for that to do something with that park. I've got pictures 3 years old and the same stuff's still there. And there's numerous other issues I don't have time to talk about. In addition to this, we have become a great apartment bonanza for developers. Does anybody want to care to guess how many apartments are in the works right now in southwest Jefferson County? Between 1,000 and 2,000, if you count that one on Blevins Gap. Is anybody shocked by this?
Bob, repeat that.
Between 1,000 and 2,000 apartments. They're in various stages. I'm not saying they're all approved, but they're in
The more people are over here.
Yeah.
And
I believe I'll be able to see it over here. Cameraman, my makeup looks all right.
You look beautiful.
All right, let me know when we record. Okay. Comb your hair. Thanks, buddy. Can't help that. In addition to this, we have become the great apartment bonanza for developers. And as I stated earlier, between 1,000 and 2,000 apartment developments are in various stages as we speak tonight. So I ask the question again, how are the people moving to these apartments going to get to work? Are new bus routes in place? What about sidewalks and lighting? Just found out today, we've had 34 people hit and killed on the roadways out here in our area this year, since the first of the year. You know why? Neglect and stupid decisions by our officials. Exactly what it is. Call it what it is. We know that developers only care about one thing. Does anybody want to help spell that? M-O-N-E-Y. Telling us they will have a percentage of these developments that will be affordable housing. Can anybody on this commission tell me the definition of affordable housing? Can anybody in this room define it?
Yeah, subsidized.
Thank you. Thank you. Simple. Nobody up here wants to say anything. They're afraid to say it. Who's going to do it? We're paying 80% of the bills. Don't you think we're going to pay? My question is, what is the definition again of affordable housing? Anybody else want to try that one? Well, I want to thank you folks for your time. And I will say this, and I don't mean personally to anybody on this committee. I appreciate and respect each one of you. But you've done a pitiful job of informing the public out here. That's why you had 2 people at your meeting in Okolona. You had 6 people in the West End. Pitiful job. If you'd had some money coming your way, I'm sure you could have done a better job. Thank you.
So I wanted everybody to know what he said about Sun Valley Park. I have, in the last 10 years, had an investment over $1.6 million in that park and that community center, and the swimming pool. So, you know, I really don't appreciate the lies, Bob. Thank you.
Y'all have eyes, we see it.
There you go. No, I said I don't appreciate lies about Sun Valley Park when that's not true.
Go over there and look at it, Cindy.
They got a bad sign, don't they?
They got a bad sign. That's a bad sign.
It is a bad sign, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have a brand new playground, a brand new
Have you
stage.
got that building? Look, I'll meet you tomorrow, and we'll go around, and I'll show you the pictures through your building, and show you where it is, and we'll look at those things.
Let's do that.
Don't call me a liar in public, ever.
You insinuate that I have not done my job. And
Okay.
Well, maybe you have.
All right.
That's your opinion.
We're going to move forward. Bob had a chance to defend himself after the allegation, and Cindy's had her remarks, so we're going to move on. Bob Green, I think, is the name. I can't do much more than that, Bob. Okay. Bob Green, I think, is the name. All right. I can't. It looks like GR. If it's Graham or Green. All right. We're going to go to Bob Schultz. Bob Schultz. And then on deck is Drew Bauer.
Mr. Schultz, if you'll stand right here so we can get your voice and get theirs. Thank you.
Speak up, Bob.
Right there. If you don't mind, just a little bit towards the center. Yep.
Nobody
right
don't know me. My name is Bob Schultz.
Thank you.
I've lived around here all my life. I reside now at Pendleton Road and Old Distillery Road. And I'm real concerned about what's going on here. But I'm not going to talk nothing about that. If nobody's heard about the Sound of Music, the Sound of Freedom, you need to go see it. You need to pay more attention about what's going on in Congress and Washington, D.C. And maybe we'll get some things done because federal is taking care of everything and state don't have much say-so in it. And that's what I've got to say.
Mr. Bauer? Yes, sir. You're up, and Miss Jim Kilgore, you're on deck.
My name is Drew Bauer. I live on Decker Road. I've been in construction business all my life. Everybody in this room pays taxes, and we pay a bunch of taxes. My pet peeve here today is the roads. Our roads are horrible. When the roads are paved, they don't raise the manhole lids, they duck into them. Your car gets tore up, your truck gets tore up, who pays for it? You do, and your taxes keep going up. And you can go up Dixie Highway, you can, Ashby Lane, Bethany Lane, Stone Street, good example. They just paved it last week. There's manholes out there that are 3 inches deep. Why? I was a contractor. When we paved the roads, we had to raise the manholes to the finished grade. Why is it not being done now? Are we just looking at quantity, not quality anymore? And we're getting taxed to death anyway. And the trees that are hanging over all of our roads, I called, Metro called. They told me, well, you need to go up to that homeowner and tell him he needs to trim his trees. That's what I was told. You know, this is pitiful. Nobody cares, and I don't mean that nobody. I'm talking about contractors. It's all about quantity. It's not about quality. It's not to make anything last. It's just, you know, our cars are getting tore up because of hitting these manholes. They had a boy killed right at the corner of West Pages Lane and Dixie Highway. A manhole, every time you turn, you hit it. It's down about this far. He hit it with his motorcycle, he lost control, his head went right into a garbage truck. Killed him instantly. And he did have a helmet on. It doesn't need to be there. You know, everything needs to be for everybody, not just for the contractors or anybody else. You know, and the trees that are hanging. I've got a motorhome. Every time I go through, I've got to ride the other side of the road. Because if I don't, I'll tear the air conditioner hoods off. And that's not fair to me because I pay taxes too. You all pay taxes. Thank you.
Mr. Kilgore, you're up, and Joe Mauser, you're on deck.
My name is Jim Kilgore. I'm sorry. My name is Jim Kilgore. My big concern, the South End in the last 20, 25, 30 years, this keeps going downhill. It doesn't seem to get any better. You know, like the apartments y'all all talking about, well, all the metro governments and all of them changed all the zonings, or not zoning, but changed all the things where they want to push the QVC out here. Okay, well, that pushing the contractors and everybody to push it because they changed the way the things are. They made the stripping district so it shoved the low income out here because of the way they changed the QVC. You know, the thing is that I've always said for the last 30 years or so, when you get past the Gene Snyder Freeway, it pretty much, you don't count. Okay, it don't count for nothing other than pay your taxes. That's it. I mean, that's all it counts for. Okay, you don't get no roads fixed, you don't get nothing done. Okay, if you do, you're begging or pleading. I've had Cindy Fowler help me do some things, and she's done it. You know, I try to help our community a lot. Okay, but I don't know if it does any good or not. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to say on what he was talking about, the QCT, that's Qualified Census Tract. That is done by the federal government, and it goes by income of those people that live in those tracts. So from Flowerville south, almost to Cosmosdale, on the east side of Dixie Highway, there's a swath, and that is a qualified census tract. Developers can get development funds, and an incentive because it is in a qualified census
So
tract.
y'all didn't have anything to say about that? The federal government just said, okay, here it is, we're done. That's no big deal.
It comes with the census every year, every 10 years, Jim. So, you know, I didn't vote for it. That's just the way it is from the Census Bureau.
But that's what's shoving the contractors to do it.
I'm sorry?
That's what's shoving the contractors to do it because of it.
Well, sure, because it's money.
That's right, it's
Yeah,
all money.
that's right. Yep. I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, Joe Mauser's up and Jared Bauman's on deck.
I'm going to be very brief, and I'm going to yield the rest of my time to Representative Bauman. First of all, thank you all for coming out to Valley Station. Secondly, more importantly, our elected officials, Dan Sam Jr., Charlie Badshaw, Jared Bauman, and representatives of Emily Callaway. This is some new leadership in this area. So give them time to get things done. We didn't get in this mess overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. And then finally, very importantly, thank all you for coming out here. We tripled, I guarantee, the last 2 meetings combined. So big hand to you all. Can you tell I coached basketball for 15 years? And then, okay, last thing, just note, our Bob Higlin's group and my group, Kentuckiana Conservative Action Group, will be meeting Tuesday, July 25th. Tina Marie Purnell will be speaking on zoning issues, some of the processes, some of the issues, and how to get more involved. Jared, the floor is yours.
Could I say one more thing?
Oh, go ahead. You can have my time.
Thank you. Also, I've noticed over the years, I've been in business 40 years.
So real quick, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and then after he goes on.
It won't take long.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I've been in business 40 years. As my clientele gets ahead, okay, like what, one of y'all live on this end of town, and everybody else lives on the other side. Every time my clientele or people get ahead in life in the South End, they pack up and move. Okay, they go to the East End, Mount Washington, Meade County, wherever else, because part of it due to the schools, okay, and the other thing, because we don't get those services out here.
I would note that this commission we're from all over the county. Here tonight, the only one from the South End is Cindy.
Every time I come in, they think that there's only one person or something other, and that's it.
Well, Mike Nemus is from this area. He lives in Bullitt County now.
See what I mean? They move.
Yeah. What's that?
They move.
What's
that? As soon as they
on?
get ahead, they move.
Yeah, what's the old saying? What the East End calls South End people, mom and dad.
Thanks, Dad.
LMA is what we call it.
All right.
Land, milk, and honey.
So, Mr. Bauman, you're up.
Thank you, sir. And thank all of you for being here tonight. Thank you to the commission. I appreciate your time as well. Although I would say if we were inside the Waterston, this microphone would probably be working. I don't know. No, really, you guys want to hear from us tonight how the merger's working for Southwest Louisville, the South End, and it's clear that it's not. All right, we've got a huge crowd here tonight compared to all the other crowds, and you've heard time and time again why it's not working. So I think that's clear. I would like to offer the people of the South End a solution. All right. And that is incorporating our own cities out here in the South End like they have in other parts of the county. So last year, the General Assembly, I wasn't there at that time, but my colleagues up on the panel here passed a law that gives us the ability, starting next year, to incorporate our own city out here. Now, I represent basically all of PRP and Valley Station area. All right, so we could incorporate that area as its own city, call it Pleasure Valley, Valley Ridge, whatever you like, maybe Khalilville, I don't know. But we can incorporate our own city and be in charge of our own destiny. We don't have to look to these guys on the panel or look down to City Hall to take care of us. We can drive our own destiny, be in control of our own fate, provide our own services, get our own road money. Every single year, the federal government sends money to City Hall for the geographic area of PRP and Valley Station. You know how much of that money they spend out here? You know it, yeah. So that money would go directly to whatever municipality we incorporate. All right, so we can be in charge of our own roads and services. We can choose which services we want to provide. We can increase policing. All right, we know that we are underserved when it comes to policing. And I know that that's a common theme nationally right now. but we have got to take control of our neighborhoods, of our community, and strengthening our police force will do that. Incorporating our own city will help us in that. Middletown, some of these other East End cities have their own police force. We can do that as well.
We had people in Congress who was defunding our police not too long back.
Yeah, that's very disappointing.
Yeah, it was real disappointing.
I understand, but we no longer need to look to City Hall to help us. They have made it clear for the last 25 years that they are not going to lend a hand to Southwest Louisville, period. So we have to take control of our own destiny, our own fate, or all of these problems are going to continue. They're going to get worse, and more people are going to leave, reducing the tax base even further. We need to do that next year. I want to lead that for us. I think all of us in this room, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, and let's take control of Southwest Louisville, and let's drive our own fate. Yes, sir.
One question's all we got, Jared.
If we're going to take...
I'm out of time. No.
If we're going to take control of our own destiny...
Yes, sir.
All right, you've got the water company. You can't fight them. No, there's not an individual that anybody can fight them. You got MSD. I've got a manhole directly in front of my house that my wife walks in the evening, and it's so bad she tripped on a paved surface. I can't get MSD out there to do anything.
We would still have some barriers with dealing with some of the city services, no doubt about it. But we could solve a lot of the troubles that ill us if we incorporated our own city. I'm telling you we can. It's been proven across all different areas of Jefferson County except the South End, and we need to do that. We need to stop sending our money downtown and keeping it right here, keeping it local. Period.
All right, so Jared's going to be around
I'll
afterward.
volunteer to be in with that.
Thank you, sir.
What's that?
Okay, I'll volunteer to be in with that.
I've got 8 votes to be with you.
All right, so I'm going to ask Bonnie Jung to respond to that question in general. She's a mayor in a city in eastern Jefferson County. She's got some things she wanted to say. And then there's some people who wanted to speak who didn't sign up. If you're in that category, we're going to let you speak, but you have to say your name. I think the rules require us to have you say your name before you speak, if that's fair.
Can I make one more comment real quick?
Of course.
I'll be here as long as I need to be for anybody that needs to talk tonight, okay, after the meeting.
All right, thank you, Jared. Bonnie.
So one of the things about this bill, several years ago, we brought up to the state legislature about the growth and about cities that were in Jefferson County and the unincorporated cities. As a mayor in one of those 80 cities, I can tell you that because I am a city, I receive road fund money from the state, which I use for sidewalks, roads, lights, infrastructure. We also have property taxes that you pay a little bit more. You pay your Jefferson County taxes, and then you pay your Douglas Hills taxes. But with the Douglas Hills taxes, those folks know what they're getting. Included in Douglas Hills taxes are roads, 2 parks, a swimming pool we maintain, our garbage pickup, all those other things. Part of this bill that I was a real advocate for was partially because 22%, as you said, people are moving. 22% of the growth is happening in the south and the southeast area of Jefferson County. What we were finding out in the area of Eastwood, going towards Shelby County, those folks are running into those development problems that you are having. Right now they're unincorporated. They've got one developer that's building homes that look like the Target apartments in Middletown, if you've seen them. You've got another development that's making Southern Living apartments. Nothing is matching. I know that you folks, because I watch it every day, and I've been watching it as president of the League of Cities, what is happening and where it's not happening. I'm a big advocate. I feel like that if your folks, 6,000 people 66%, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
If 66% of the folks in, let's say, Fairdale or Valley Station, and 6,000 people want to petition next year to become a city, that's what this bill does. Everywhere else in the state of Kentucky, in any county, a city could be created, except for Jefferson County from the merger. This is why we are here. We have been appointed through the legislature. Mixed up in this commission is representatives from GLI, Jefferson County League of Cities, council people, senators, representatives. We're taking, and I promise you, I'm taking every question, every statement, everything that our folks are coming to us about. We're going to sit down, and in September or October or before the next legislation, this commission is charged to change, update, or do whatever it takes, whether it's dealing with taxes, whether it's dealing with infrastructure. We have got to make it work for everybody. I will be leaving my card up here if any of you all would like to discuss with me later what it's like to be a mayor and a council. There's 6,000 people in Douglas Hills, and I tell you, every one of them have no problem paying that little extra for what they get. And one thing that bothered me more than anything was my folks are paying $14.60 per household for full service garbage, yard waste, and recycling. The folks in the urban service district, and Jason's correct, they pay a little bit more to live in the urban service district. But I don't understand why the garbage costs more in one place than it does the other. So those are the things that you all need to be thinking about. If you have enough neighbors and enough people that feel like you want to become a city, as you said, call it whatever you want to call it. But you have that opportunity, and that's why we're here, so that we can take your concerns and make sure we make them right.
All right, so we have this room till 8 o'clock. If you haven't signed up and you want to speak, you've got 3 minutes, come on forward. The only thing I'm going to require is that you say your name. I believe that's required. This has got to be a public record. We're still recording it. And so say your name and you may speak. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jamie Vance. I've lived out on this end of town my entire life. Just moved to Scotts Gap 8 years ago because I wanted to get away from people that were coming in. Guess what? Everybody's coming out here now. We all don't like it. None of us like the apartments coming in on us. But apparently the state and the feds think they know better than what we know about our own community. I was told that there are no rural areas in Jefferson County by someone who apparently has never left the city limits. My thing is, and with GLI, what are you all doing to help this end of town with our infrastructure? We don't have the infrastructure for these 2,000 apartments coming in. We don't have the schools, and I was told by a planning and zoning representative that that is not taken into consideration, that we don't have the schools to accommodate approximately another 5,000 students, kids. Yeah. And not only that, our roads cannot accommodate those people. TARP does not come down here except for the 18th Street and now the number 10 or whatever that one is now. But the transportation that is needed for these people who come for the Section 8 housing, come for the lower income housing, there's not transportation out here. We got one Kroger and it is going down quickly. I was in there the other morning. Doors were broke. lights were out, floors are dirty, cash registers aren't working, and I stated very loudly because I know that if this was Middletown, it would not be this way.
Thank you.
Walgreens, the same thing. We have gotten McAllister's, we've gotten a couple of the higher, more known restaurants coming in here. And please don't take this offensively. I don't want 5 more Mexican grocery stores or restaurants on Dixie Highway. We do not need them. I don't mind, I shop at the old Milton's. I go to the Mexican restaurant on Friday night, whatever, we do what but we need more items here. Yes. PRP put over $200,000 in the hands of Crusade for Children. We are the people who don't have the money to spend. To have Kohl's come out here, we lost our Target. We don't have. But we put out over $200,000 for a charity. We have that money. We have the locations that are available. We need to have it done out here as well as the East End. Right.
Before you speak, sir, Commissioner Senator Nemes is going to have something, and then you'll be right next. Okay.
Who's the visionary for this area? Who's got the vision?
All right, if you want to speak, come up front, but hold on a second.
I'm Senator Nemes from Bullitt County, and I have some of South Jefferson County. I appreciate y'all coming tonight. Sorry I was late. I was in a rainstorm coming from Eastern Kentucky University. But this is why this committee was formed, to hear these issues. This is not the city council. This was put together by the state. First thing came up, 20 years ago or so, I'm not going to say exact dates, merger happened. Mostly it was voted for because we didn't want Lexington to be bigger than Louisville. So now, has it worked or not? So it came up in 20 years, there was a hiatus on being able to annex or incorporate in Jefferson County. So those years have passed, and there can be annexation by Douglas Hills, Shavley, but nothing in the South End because there's no cities. We fought very hard, Jason and I, and Gerald was on there, I don't know which side you were on, Gerald, but we fought very hard to give the South End the chance to incorporate if they chose, so that they can do what J-Town, what Middletown, what Shavley can do. For instance, there was a mention of J-Town police officers, 40 of them in J-Town. They're not LMPD. Right. Just like in South End, we don't have LMPD per se, but so they did their own police force. If we don't incorporate, this bill still gives a chance to be heard, and the threat of incorporating that the city does not want. Mayor Fisher was in a committee meeting talking about why it should be done in this and that, and Senator Wheeler stood up and says, why can't they do it? This was before the bill was passed to be able to do it. He's from Eastern Kentucky, and he said, why can't they do it? If you're not protecting your South End people, then why can't they incorporate and protect themselves? So that's what we did in that bill. So the state is not overlooking you. Whether you incorporate or not is up to you. Next is, this committee was formed by House Bill 314, which Representative Nemes did, and it was...
It's long overdue, thank you.
It was to gather data and see if the merger is turned out and working as it needs to be, was told to be, and where we need to go from here, and to show you the data and the issues in that realistically on whether you really do want to incorporate or not, because that might be something you want to do, but you may want to look at it and say we need to fight the city more and not incorporate or incorporate. For instance, there's a misconception on the garbage bills. They do pay for their garbage bill. Now maybe they don't pay as much as you do, and you want to say, well, then that's fine. We want to incorporate it because, as Bonnie has said, the city, then you'll have to pay extra taxes for the garbage for that particular city. So these are the things we're looking at. Y'all brought up other issues besides just merger, which are very good things, and this is why we're here to listen to you. Thank you for showing up. Other places have not showed up, as you all have. That's why we love the South End.
Thank you for taking through. My name is James Jones. I can't see at nighttime. I'm hard of hearing. I'm a little bit nervous. I didn't come to speak tonight, but I do want to say I'm a little bit of an oddball tonight because I do think Cindy Fowler has represented our area well. It's not necessarily her fault because let me explain why I say this. We had to fight racetrack right in front of our house, and the system is designed to be pro-development. So Cindy did support us. We went through 3 long hearings, and we ended up winning. The system has handicapped these people from doing what they really should do. Now, let me go and talk about the Planning Commission. The Planning Commissioners are selected by the mayor. They are not elected. What does the mayor do? The mayor is all about development. He doesn't really care about the normal citizen. Now let's talk about the apartment. The mayor is all big about pushing apartments. Now I have been digging into the numbers and I have been asking questions because in 2019, there was a housing assessment done that said there is a 31,000 shortage for people that are 30% AMI or below. Since 2019, there has been over 24,000 units and homes built. 17,000 of them are apartments, okay? So I've been digging into the south end of the south part of Gene Snyder where I live. In a 1 mile radius, we are looking at 1,266 unit apartment and only 19 homes. So I reached out to the housing development just in the last couple of days to try to understand how they're going about measuring how they're meeting those 30% AMIs. And all they could tell me was, we are collecting the data and we know what we're doing. But they said that we're going to have to build 60,000 units just to meet that 31,000 30% AMI. But just down here, Jefferson Forest Market, they said that we have a low need. We should have 500 rentals and 250 homes to meet the need. But for some reason, we got 1,266 apartments and only 19 homes. We're not meeting the ratio. But let me say this, we need process reform. We need land code reform. I am a member of the Citizens Coalition Group. We have been successful in getting some land code reform, but we need process reform. The commissioners need to be elected. We need to change the makeup of the Planning Commission board to where more people like us are on there so we can change it. But until that is done and changed, the planning commissioners are going to be pro-development. And I'm all against all these massive apartments. I think Cindy has done a good job considering the situation. And I know I'm an oddball here, but Cindy, thank you very much. And I know you listened to me. And the south part of Gene Snyder, we know that we've got 232 units being built right there where Moby Dick is. We know that we got the Riverport, those other apartments that's already been built. We've got Blevins Gap, 527 unit proposal. And we also know that Flowerville Farm has been bought. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but we do not need any more apartments. We've already met, if you look at the housing assessment, that part there should be 2-to-1 ratio. To be 500 rentals units and 250 homes. So that's a 2-to-1 ratio. Right now we're nowhere close to that. We're not getting single family homes built. So all I ask Cindy is just, thank you for your time and, I appreciate everything you've done for us.
All right. So, go ahead real quickly.
My question is when I'm talking about the rentals. She's got a question. When I'm talking about the rentals, are they when they talk about rentals, are they including the houses that are being rentals as well as apartment complexes?
Yeah.
Because Valley Village is turned into nothing but hardly. That's mostly rentals now.
All right. So the question was, do they count houses that are being rented as rentals? And the answer was yes. Yes. All right. We've got a commissioner who has something, and I think Mr. Calloway's up next.
Yeah, hi. Just clarify a couple of things. My name is Scott Schoenberger. Someone asked about GLI. I'm not an employee of GLI, so I'm not from Kentucky. So pardon me, I'm an outsider. But I've heard some things tonight that I think are really critical. I got involved in this commission, and the company that I work for, we're 76 years old, so we're Kentucky based, we're Kentucky proud. I think the main thing that I'm gleaning from this is, and we own the Balt House downtown and some office buildings, and one of the things I spoke with Jason about is how difficult it is from a zoning perspective and from a permitting perspective to actually be able to do something as easy as finishing out a floor in one of the office buildings. It takes us about 6 months to get a permit. Where here, it sounds like you can get some massive developments done in a relatively quick fashion. Development is, and I've had a little bit of a struggle here because there's a lot of anti-development sentiments throughout this city, and I just have to go on record. Development is very good if development is planned correctly. When you're talking about not having grocery stores or having the right outlets or those types of things, that all has to do with development. That's very critical, and it's important that your government comes up with a good plan and the right zoning so the things that are being built in your neighborhoods and in your communities fit. And it doesn't sound to me that in your community today that's just not happening. And so again, that is part of the purpose and the focus of what it is that we're doing on this commission. Yep. And honestly, Bob, whoever was talking about the numbers, raise your hand, Bob. Where are you? I can't.
James Jones.
James Jones, who was talking about the 50 and the 20. Your numbers are very close. So we're studying all of this information. We are going to make all of this information public. We've made a lot of information public. There's a lot more information to come public. We'll be drafting some pretty significant documents. Actually, I'll be involved in some of that. And I want you to know that our job is to try and find ways to make this government work better for you and to really try and be your voice. So I appreciate you all coming out tonight to speak. From my perspective, because I'm not an elected official. I'm a volunteer up here. We're all volunteers, actually. But I wanted to do this and try and have an impact in this community, and I'm learning a lot from what you've got to say. So I just wanted to say thank you. But again, the more that you can push, and I would recommend also you come and make your voices heard if you have the time, also when we're meeting in Metro Hall. I think that's going to be very important as well. So you don't have to show up once. It's better if you show up more than once. It's really helpful, and probably the lights won't go out. So
I would note that he's a Kentuckian now. He said he wasn't in Kentucky. We've been in Kentucky for some time.
10 years.
Yeah, but he wasn't born here. But okay, Mr. Calloway, you be next.
UK and U of L grads.
My name's Chris Calloway. I've been in this community for most of my life. So first of all, I want to thank all y'all for coming out. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay, so my wife is Emily Calloway. She's the state representative for District 37. So again, I just want to encourage you all, because when we were out campaigning, we knocked on thousands of doors and we heard all of these concerns, right? Whether it's lack of police or developments or MSD issues, all this kind of stuff. So you are being heard, and that was one of the reasons why we got involved in this process was we want to be able to do something. You know, we can only sit back so long and just watch it happen. So there are a lot of people here. I know quite a few of these people personally, a few other people in the audience. So there are people fighting for you, but that takes you to be involved as well. So call your councilmen, call your reps, get involved, get your neighbors involved, because if they don't hear you, then there's not really a lot of action there to take. You know what I mean? So get out there and get involved. But I'm not going to add anything new with the police. A lot of people covered what I needed to say, but just thank you all for coming out and get involved.
Thank you, Chris. And I would note, you may have said it, Chris is the husband of Emily Calloway, who's the representative of Fairdale, Oklahoma area.
And so a little bit of Valley Station.
A little bit of Valley Station. I think you have Valley Village. Yeah. He's first, sir.
I want to say something else about Emily Calloway.
Mr. Yoakum, I'm only yielding to you because of your position, but this fellow's next. You're up. Go ahead, Mr. Yoakum. I'm not going to tell you to say it.
Emily Calloway is super. You guys need to wake up about her. And I will tell you, I never hear none of you say nothing about VFWs, Veterans of Foreign Wars. We got 26 Metro Council, and I watch them all the time. Never hear them mention about the VFWs. Emily Calloway got the mayor out this Saturday at my post in 1181. First time ever in history. So, you know what? I told the LG&E, you know who made it so you can wear no three-piece suit and sit up here and manage? You better look around. The VFWs here are pretty strong, and we're going to get a lot stronger.
Good. And I know Emily did that. I know Councilwoman.
I just want to let you know that.
Well, Cindy also she was also asking the
She's a member of the post. I can't not.
She was. That's right. She also had a big part of the mayor coming there. Yes, sir.
My name is Bob Henderson.
Stand up, please.
I used to be the councilman here before Cindy come along. And what I was wondering about, watching this whole thing, where is the judiciary? Do they ever take part in something like this, evaluating something that they cause a lot of responsibility they don't handle? Look at the trash in our areas. Look at how we have to pick them up every year, twice a year. We shouldn't have recycling. You know, that's the thing that somebody's got to look at. You don't have to, you better be looking at it because it's coming this way. So anyhow, I knew your dad real well. We kind of come up together down at Already Help the Christians, and I know a couple other ones up there too. But anyhow, thank you all for what y'all do, and I sure appreciate my representative here as well. Thanks.
Your next, I just want to respond to Mr. Henderson. Thank you, sir, for being here. My dad and you were very good friends. He bought a house in Valley Village, which was low-income housing, not apartments. Back in the day, we moved out of the projects, the Iroquois projects, to move into Valley Village. That was way back when, and you understand that. And thank you for your friendship to our family and that. And one other thing on the apartments, someone said houses to apartments. That's not the ratio. It's low income to regular pay, because you can have almost all apartments and just some of them low income housing. So by saying there's not enough houses there, that's not what they equate to. I think they should. I like low income housing because people are proud to own their own house, not their own apartment. So if we went back to the Valley Village style and made them proud of what they're buying and able to afford it instead of an apartment, I think that's the way we need to go. But part of the reason these investors are doing this is because they get a tax credit from the feds. They have a certain amount of low income to be able to build the apartments to get a tax credit for that.
Give folks
well, if you incorporate, Bullock County has the same problems, but we control our own zoning on whether we allow it or not.
Yes, sir.
My name is Chris Johnson. This is the first one of these meetings I've ever been to, and I have a couple questions for you folks. I appreciate that you say, Jason, that you're coming home. This is our home every day.
I know that.
You left here. You left here. Why did you leave?
I got married to a girl in the East End who's really pretty.
Why don't you move back? Why don't you move back?
Got a few
you don't want to be here.
Well,
You don't want to be in the Dixie Highway corridor, or you would be here. You know. How was this meeting made? How were we made aware of this meeting? Because I heard from somebody who heard from somebody who heard from somebody. There was nothing in my mailbox. And my point is, it seems like you have these clandestine meetings that nobody ever knows about. Am I right? But you find out because somebody told you, because somebody told them. There was nothing in my mailbox. I didn't see anything on WDRB to notify me of my opportunity to come and speak my piece. You know, so it's just by happenstance that I happen to be here. You know, and that's disappointing. You know, we find out after the deal's made. You know, you talk about proposed. It's done. It ain't proposed.
It's not done.
Okay.
Well,
everything that you have proposed has come to fruition. Has it not? What have you seen that was proposed that didn't happen? It's done. It's a done deal. It's money. You know, it's just very troubling. You know, I drive down the Greenbelt every day and it looks like a dumpster threw up every 3 blocks. Trash on the side of the road, garbage, turned over vehicles, left for weeks on end. You know, like they said earlier, and like my aunt said, you don't see that in Middletown. You know, that doesn't happen. It's because we don't have the money they have. You know, just like this East End affordable housing project that went through the judge. You know, we don't have that kind of sway because we don't have the money. It's just very disappointing. I appreciate you all being here, but in all fairness, you don't live here, we do.
Yeah, I got you. Mr. Johnson, I want to say 2 things.
Okay.
Number one, it doesn't happen because we control our business in Middletown. You guys haven't been able to because you've not been able to incorporate it. If there's garbage on the street, it's a Middletown person that picks it up, not Louisville. If my house gets robbed, It's my Middletown officer that comes to my house. It's not LMPD. Hold on. You guys haven't had the right to do that. You said I got South End blood coursing through my veins, and that'll never end. I fought your own state reps, the former ones, and City Hall to get this bill passed. And the only reason I did it is because I think it's wrong. I thought it was wrong since I was a little boy, that the South End, Iroquois Park, it'll be months before a road gets fixed if it's done. Park in my area or inside the Watterson, by Monday it's done. You guys can't incorporate. I made sure that got changed. Fought your own state reps to make sure that happened. And then we got 2 elected who are fighting along with us, and Emily and Jared. And so to say that we're not looking out for the South End isn't fair. Finally, y'all have a voice. That's my view. Some people disagree with that, and that's fine. But real quick, the last thing is the most important thing about incorporating, aside from police and so forth, is if you talk about where Kroger's go and apartments go, Middletown gets to decide that. They care about people who live next door and people sitting next to the pews to them. I'm not saying City Hall doesn't care. I'm saying they don't know. I bet you if you ask most people at City Hall, how do you get to Dawes High School? They better get the GPS out because they don't know. And so I don't have to do that in Anchorage or Eastboro or Middletown because my people, they're elected from right down the street. So that's another reason we got this bill done. When you saying things are already done, I'm going to push back really hard and say it's not. You need to make sure that Jared and Emily and the other South End council persons know where you feel because you do have a voice. And you
I'm just telling you what we see.
Well, I want to make 2 points. One is we did get the word out. You're absolutely right. We had a great idea. Chairman Jones wanted to make sure the public heard this. So he said, let's go out to different areas and speak to the people. We did not get the word out good. There hasn't been, this is the only good turnout we've had. And we started making calls, not the press. You're right, we did a bad job of that. But like Bob had a meeting, we called him and said, can you change that meeting to be here? You get everybody you can here. So we have tried, but you're absolutely right, we didn't do a good job because this is a commission made out to help, mostly the data that we said, let's go out to the people. But on the one other thing is you're saying everything that we proposed went to fruition. We haven't proposed anything because that's the city council.
Right, and I use that term loosely, and I probably should
have
chosen better words to
What we're doing is
express
trying to find out what they are doing and getting the data and see why to give you the data and that and resources so that you can know what the heck is happening, not just think it's happening, and then have verification of what you do think is happening.
That's fair enough, and I had to remind myself that you all are not representing the city, and that it's hard for us to do because,
you don't know how much
we haven't had representation.
We really appreciate you coming here. I mean, honestly,
it matters. It does matter.
And we appreciate you all coming here. We do, giving us a chance to speak. And I'm sorry if you seem a little.
I'm South End, brother. You know how it is.
I know, but I take this personal, and we all do. And when we take it personal, it lights a little fire in us.
And that's what we need. That's what's needed to change that.
But yeah, we're tired of the apartments. We're tired of like she said. This West Pages deal. I've seen that piece of land. Those poor people are going to walk out their back door and look up at the 3 stories raining down on them.
It'd be different if they would make the apartment complexes more ideally to what Valley Station and this end of town represent. This is a small town.
Yeah.
That's what Valley Station represents. It's where you come home to. And right now, everything that was Valley Station is gone. And we need to bring that back.
At you as well. You were talking about development, what those people are going to have to look at in your backyard. Look up and see a 3-story. I have a development that's coming in my city. One of the things that we did was talk to the developer, and I said, one thing you will not do is put 3-story apartments on the edge of the border of this street where these people have lived here 54 years. We'll allow your development, but you're going to work with the city of Douglas Hills because I do have my own zoning rights. I'm one of 10 cities in Jefferson County that does. And if I say you're not putting a 3-story without putting a 9-foot fence and a berm, it won't happen. So that's one of the reasons why I am very fortunate and I feel very honored as a mayor to sit on this commission to give you all the things that could happen, that does happen or doesn't happen, but it is now your opportunity because of House Bill 314.
Fellow in the white shirt, you're up.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes. I'm Larry Carter. I live on Blevins Gap. And Cindy has done some things out here that I like. The people that repaved Blevins Gap, whoever the engineer was or whoever was in charge of it, ought to be fired and prosecuted. Shoulders falling off. There's 3 places on there that have been patched 4 times. You talk about development out at this end of town. Okay, we need development, but we need restaurants. We need stores for people to shop at. You're going to put all these apartments in here, and Jim, you're part of them. I'm against it. I talked to his engineer about the runoff into Pond Creek like the lady talked earlier. I asked him if he'd studied the saturation rate. No. But we've got a retention pond. I said, no, you have a wetland, designated wetland right now that you can't do anything with, and you're going to call it a retention pond. You know, he has no idea what he's talking about. That creek comes all the way up to the road when it rains hard. He put the retention pond just going to hold it, so instead of it draining down in a day and a half, it's going to take 3 days and more erosion, and eventually that bridge is going to fall in. We had the road shut down because of one bridge already for over a year, but the school bus had to go around. We don't have schools anymore out here. Watson Lane's not here.
We begged and begged for it to become, Cindy, I know we've talked about turning it into a community center for Valley Village, because as it's the only way the kids can get to Sundown or to a park close to them is either go down to Dixie Highway on the bicycle or go down the loop.
Right.
That's the only way they can get there. And like for instance, the other day where there was a fire down there at Barnes and Warren, what if a kid had been driving through there or riding their bikes and stuff? There's no other parks for them to get to besides that one right there that Watson Lane could have been turned into.
We have restaurants and businesses, Aldi's, Chick-fil-A, several different places that would like to come out here. We can entice them to get them out in the south end. But as long as you have a racetrack down Dixie Highway where people are getting killed, they're not going to come out here. They don't have an entrance to get out. Do it like they do in E-Town, Radcliffe, out in the East End. You take one access and you take the developer and you tell him, put a road in, comes out, to one road that comes out. If you put a traffic light at Blevins Gap, they can come around behind it. They don't have a direct entrance to Dixie Highway, causing more problems. They worked everything from Greenwood Road in towards town and put in the turn lanes a lot of people don't like. But I've lived in different parts of the country where they work, which if you get used to. But you know, as far as the city-county merger, we still pay tax. I pay a runoff tax out where I live. I have propane fuel. I have septic tanks instead of lateral lines or instead of sewers. But I still have to pay a fee for it. And I called them and asked them about it. And the water bill, they charged me for another water bill. Now I have, they said, well, we take that off, but then they added a runoff fee, which was twice what they took off. And now I got a fire hydrant on each end of my property. That new one put in the other day that the guy building the house behind me had to have the fire hydrant put in. And that was for insurance stuff because they came out and they told him, well, the fire department told him that they couldn't come through the edge of my property to get to his if his house caught on fire.
But he didn't burn his trash back there.
Well, no, not here.
Different
The one in between, yeah. The one that burns the trash back there in the back. I mean, they did have somebody finally, after I called in a bunch of times, every time that I saw them burning, they came in and cleaned up a lot of it the other day to the budget. I don't know whether y'all fined him or what you did. I haven't talked to people.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done.
But get some development and do on the road work and have the engineers look at it instead of just awarding the contract and leaving the potholes or the manholes down to where you fall through them. I've knocked the front end out from underneath my truck, wrecked my motorcycle in them, and it's not fun.
Thank you. Got time for a few more if there's anybody. Yes, ma'am. Can you come up?
Yes, please. I just wanted to ask, so now that you've heard a lot of good information presented here tonight, what do y'all do with that information? How's it going to be used? And then also, you know, I guess I'm looking to see what kind of follow-up can we expect as citizens? And then is there a way from this point forward for us to continue to communicate with you on other issues? We don't want to feel like we wasted our time, so tell me how this is going to make a difference, or at least be considered or looked at outside of this meeting.
Well, the only thing I can say about that is what we must do is we have to file a report back to the legislature. The purpose of the meetings, as we said earlier, is to take your input. And obviously, this has been a very informative meeting, let's put it that way. I have to just share a couple of things personally with you all. And it does, I think, go to the point that you're making, the question you've raised. I've lived in Louisville for about 45 years. But I still feel somehow as if I've come in the middle of a movie. In the sense that, and again, all this is based on one's experience. I don't have, my sense of the merger was things were working pretty well. Okay? These meetings have obviously made it very clear to me, not only these meetings, by the way, but also the data that we've been collecting over the last several months, is that things are not working well at all. The question then becomes, from my perspective, is, well then, where do we go from there? And do we have what is the mechanism or the way that the citizens of Jefferson County can make things better? Now, I will tell you that what some have said here today, we heard it from some of the commissioners, is that the answer is to make your own city. Now that may work. There are other solutions as well. The thing that gets me is, I don't understand why everybody is so pessimistic, so down in the mouth, so absolutely convinced that the city's government cannot be reformed to deliver the services that you deserve.
That's our experience. That's why.
And I get that, and I understand that. And the question, I think, is, are there things that can be done to fix that? Are there reforms that can be made to remedy that, other than cutting the county up into 30, 50, 60 cities? Pick your number. Anybody can do it. Now, admittedly, there is a 6,000 person limit, or minimum. But at the end of the day, is that the solution that is best for you all, as well as everybody else? You have to make that decision. And obviously, nobody can make it for you. I'd really love to know, with all the things you're all complaining about, have you been voting? Do you actually make your voices heard?
Well, I didn't personally vote for Greenberg, but that's what we got.
I get it. A lot of people did. I don't need to go back to that one, but any deal.
We did, and you heard, there were several seats were changed this year with Metro Council and with our state representatives. So we do try, and we do, you see, we have a good turnout here.
We've been very successful in that regard, because back to the point that I think that Jason just made, your new representatives are supporting the effort to give you a greater voice, and the one that they believe to be the correct one is that you should be able to create your own city. Again, that is your decision. The only thing I can say is that all the data that you all are providing, including the very deeply felt emotions and sense of having been wronged, is going to be incorporated into this report.
Yep.
There's just no question about that, because the evidence is very clear and overwhelming.
Thank you.
The only question then is, what happens after that? And of course, that really is back in your hands. And you have to make that decision. And that's all we can do, is to present the data to the entire county, and then the citizens can make their decision where they want to go.
Let me add, can I add something?
Yes.
So I see three different things that need to happen. Okay, so call to arms. Number one, you showed up tonight for the commission. We have a few more meetings. I think someone referenced the Louisville City Hall one, which is on July 31st, Monday, July 31st, that's another one that will be good to come out. There's one at Eastern and there's at an Atherton. Those are the three remaining.
Next Monday and Tuesday.
Right. And so that's one way to do it, and reach out to us if you need to do that. You know, Cindy's is, I don't know if she's yours, but she's at this area, and you can contact any of us. So number one, make sure the commission knows, and you started that today. Number two, make sure that your state representative and state senators know where you stand, because ultimately the commission's making a recommendation to the legislature, and we're going to make the decision on, you know, what changes need to be made, if any. And so, you know, you have a number of state legislators here, and then some that are on the commission that aren't here. Then I would also note, and this is the most important thing, and I'm going to be careful with my words, and I'm going to say this: you need to be loud, because the thing about the South End is you're not loud enough. You sit, you go to work, you do your job, and you're not loud. You need to be loud. For example, I didn't vote for this mayor, but I have hope in him. I think he's trying to do the right thing, and I'm going to do everything I can do to support him. But I will tell him when I think he's wrong. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I've told him publicly. I've told him one-on-one. But let me say before I criticize, I do think this mayor is trying his best. He sees a problem. He wants to fix the problem. I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to try to work with him, but I'm going to hold him accountable. For example, one of the accountability things. The 6 most important positions that a mayor has is his chief of staff, his deputy chief of staff, and now he has, as Bob mentioned, 4 deputy mayors. 5. Bob, listen to this. 5 deputy mayors, that's right. So he's got the 7 top positions. One of them lives in Shelby County, and the other ones all live inside the Watterson. And again, I'm going to give him the benefit. I'm going to try to help, and I've told him this. That's not acceptable. When 2/3 of your residents live outside the Watterson, and nobody of your top 7 staff are outside the Watterson, not acceptable. We need to be louder. Okay. So when the mayor lives inside the Watterson, all his businesses and all his stuff, all his travel patterns are inside the Watterson. We need to make sure he knows how to get to Dawes High School. Just for example, I care about Dawes High School, but you get the point. Right. So we need to remain to be loud and say, we matter too. Yes. Okay, another thing, you put your police board together, the police chief. He's got 3 people representing groups, and the other 4 live inside the Watterson. The police chief is important to the people of Middletown also. Why is somebody from Fern Creek not on there? Mm-hmm. So stay loud. And that's what works. I don't like it, but that's what works.
No, and I absolutely agree. And I'll tell you, when I talked about the development my neighborhood fought, I did reach out to the mayor's office, and he won't return calls. So I did submit a guest article to the Courier Journal, which was printed, addressing issues with the mayor. No response to that. So trying to be loud, but still not heard. So you brought up some very good points about the travel and about everybody being within the city lines, and that's definitely something we're going to follow up on. So let me make sure that I understand. So you all will put together a report and make recommendations, and will that be publicly available?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and that will be at the end of all of your meetings? Do y'all have a deadline on that?
September.
And all the data is available too.
Okay.
It's available now.
It's available now.
On our website.
Other meetings you might want to go to is the mayor has city night out or whatever, mayor's night out or whatever, and find out where they are at. He has come outside the waters. He was in Fern Creek one time.
I did invite him to the South End in my email to the mayor.
Okay.
Is that like a Bigfoot sighting?
Well, we need to keep inviting him. Look, I didn't vote for him. I fought hard against him, but I believe that he's trying to do the right thing, and I'm going to try to help him do the right thing.
So that was it. So as far as getting a hold of you all, there's a website where we could continue to reach all. We have something else we want to share after the meeting.
Post information as well. You can post any kind of comments, additional, make any requests, ask any other questions.
Okay, is that on the website that was on the flyer?
It's on the flyer.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for being here.
And real quick, there are flyers out on the table when you guys entered, so please pick up a flyer for that website.
Because I know Jerry here, he's been waiting.
Go ahead, Chris. You got to stand up though.
Your representatives are listening. I know, I see the emails. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of emails. So I do say, yes, be absolutely loud, but at the same time, be a little patient. Because it does take some time to get through and read them and compile them and respond. So you are being listened to. Just if it doesn't happen tomorrow, don't be disappointed. But
Mr. McGraw, yes, Mr. McGraw.
Thank you, members of the commission. My apology if necessary. I had not intended to speak tonight, but the issue has come up that I cannot hesitate. I am Jerry McGraw. I used to be with the Jefferson County Police Department, and I policed up and down Dixie Highway. Chris and I met when we both lived in the Candlelight subdivision on New Cut and Outer Loop. I am familiar with the issues, with the problems you're talking tonight, and I hope that the commission understands that basically what I've heard tonight is the only thing that merged 20 years ago was the tax bill.
Yes.
We did not merge the operations of Metro government. I've heard several times tonight things about it wouldn't happen in Middletown, and I submit to you that you are correct. It would not happen in Middletown, and it would not happen in Douglas Hills. I spent 14 years on city council in Douglas Hills. I lived in Candlelight. I have been in this county where there are cities and where there are not small cities, the home rule cities. Mr. Kilgore and his son Chris and I began talking about incorporating Valley Station a year and a half ago before Jason Nemus got House Bill 314 written and passed by the General Assembly. I strongly support local control. How do we get local control? By incorporating our areas. I'm already helping, assisting. I am now an attorney, and I am doing without charge, at least up until we get to court or something significant, assisting other groups who are wanting to incorporate, and I've passed out several business cards tonight that I will do that. But one of the things I have heard repeatedly tonight is zoning. If you incorporate under House Bill 314, you will have zoning authority. That doesn't mean you can arbitrarily tell a developer, no, you can't do it. But you've got some control, as Mayor Jung has pointed out, in Douglas Hills with the development that is going there, which happens to be next door to some of my property. There are controls, there are things can be said, do this, no, we're not going to accept that. Do you have any of that control in Southwest Jefferson County? None. The best you can do, and it hasn't been done effectively, sorry, it has not been done effectively, is being down there screaming at that Planning and Zoning Commission and be loud. Make sure they know what you're meaning, what you want, and understand Jefferson County, Metro Louisville, has a land development code. Now I was told, I don't know how true it is, but I was told they went out to California and got a document, came back here and tried to modify it. But that's what it looks like when I read it. How many of you have seen it? How many of you have looked at it? If you have a city, you will develop your own land development code. Now in the zoning situation, a zoning permit would be applied for with the planning and zoning for Metro Louisville. They would do a number of hearings, which you would have the right to go participate in, and you've got that right now. If that Planning and Zoning Commission
30 seconds, Jerry.
passes an approval, and you are in an incorporated city, that comes to your city for final approval. And there are a number of things that you can do, modify, you can approve, you can say, we find something different than the people downtown did, but you've got some options. No incorporated city. Look for your control. I haven't found it.
Yes, sir. I'd like to speak.
Yep.
My name's David Alvey. I've lived in this community on Deering Road 50 years until Mr. Hughlin told the Ratio Police Department, sir, we need to get police department out here ASAP from idiots that ride motorcycles, four-wheelers. We just heard them go down the side road here, completely in our yards and everything else in our houses anymore. ASAP. It needs to stop. We had one flattened right there at Constance and Deering. Another one just got killed here going across the railroad track with people that drive through there on a car and get killed in. Now, I don't see any police officers nowhere until that happens, like Mr. Hughlin just spoke about. And I didn't come here to be and complain. I come here to listen. But one thing, y'all's commission, I did go 5 times on a zoning change from Isaiah House over there, was totally against it. I've changed my tune and a half. They've done everything to go in the neighborhood. But the part about it, I went to 5 different meetings, and half of the time of that commission wasn't there or was working by electronic something over from all this COVID crap. If we can get out and come down there, we need to know what's going to happen when it gets there. And you can tell them that, because I went 5 times
that half of that commission was there are either speaking by video or something else. And that's my piece. I'll shut up. But we need police ASAP. Tell them ASAP.
Last speaker, yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Warren Rogers, and what I've been hearing here is about low-income housing. I'd like to know what y'all gonna do on low-income people. I'm 82 years old. I'm on fixed income. All y'all doing is jacking up taxes, putting this on, putting this on this, putting this on everything, taxing us to death. But we don't have an income coming in like you people do. If you had my income, would you be up there doing that job? I'm done.
Yes, sir. Yep.
It's very germane. I hope I answered it for a lot of people out because I think it's good for public consumption. I'm hearing a lot tonight about, oh, you might be able to incorporate. And I get it. Government is really good at telling you, okay, here's this problem, so we're going to create this commission and this committee. You know, if there's a snake that needs to be killed, you kill the snake. You don't build all these committees to look into it. So I say all that because either Representative Jason or your dad, Senator, anybody that's still here tonight representing the legislature, is there any interest at all? And I might get crickets as an answer. I'm kind of used to that as a libertarian. I hear the corruption on both sides of the aisle. Is there any intention, is there any desire by anybody in the legislature to introduce legislation doing what I spoke to earlier, and that is to get us out of the merger?
No.
See, there you go, folks.
You said I wasn't answering. There's no question I will answer. There may be an interest in it. I'd oppose it. I think merger for the city of Louisville, if we can get it right, and we haven't, is good for our city overall. I think it is. There are areas in my area of town, we pay the freight and we don't get any services. You guys pay the freight, you don't get any service. Is there any services? So look, we got to improve it. But the fact that we have the population that we have allows us to get more things than we otherwise would be able to. Attract businesses and attract also federal dollars. So from my perspective, the answer is no. Other legislators may hem and haw, they may have a different answer, but I'm against reversing merger.
I appreciate your honesty. You're right, giving an honest answer. I think most of us out there would disagree with the answer. And I'll defend Jason for a moment. He was correct. And I watched every day of the legislature. It is true. When we have those crazy representatives from the West End and downtown, who did come to our defense when it came to incorporation. So I'll give you credit for that, Jason. When it came to the whole incorporation thing, I just think the incorporation thing, yeah, if you hold a gun to my head, it's like Sophie's choice. Would I rather have this horrible merger or this horrible merger plus potential incorporation? And the answer is we should be getting out of the merger. I quoted the numbers from the Greater Louisville Project. Since merger, your life expectancy in the South End is 12 years shorter than if you live where Jason lives.
All right. You got, real quick.
I'm on Lockhart and I represent Valley Village. My question is, Valley Station is missing out on mental health, substance abuse, alcohol abuse. The other day I woke up to a woman yelling over and over lake, and a man hung himself. So my question is, what is a way to get better mental health, better social services out here? Because as right now, I don't even think the food stamp office is open anymore for out here. And I don't think the one out in Fairdale, I don't think Fairdale one is open either, is it? So my question is, if we become incorporated, will we still be able to have social services to help those who are in need?
Yes.
Not just with public housing or anything, but the other side of that part.
Yeah, the people who live in Linden, which is an incorporated city, they're still Louisvillians and they're entitled to local service. They still pay local taxes. They just have the opportunity to do a little bit more and control their local areas. With respect to the mental health issue, that's not the purview of this commission. It's an exceptionally important issue. And I don't know where you live, but I know that's one that Representative Ballman and I talked about a number of times. And everywhere there's a mental health crisis. I know there's certainly one in the South End. There's certainly one in a lot of places where I live. So we're trying to address that as well. That's not the commission's charge, but we are trying to address that. Our schools, a few years ago, we passed a bill, and Jared was one of the ones that was fighting hard for it. Senate Bill 1 from a number of years ago to make sure that we get more nurses in our schools and people who can identify our kids who are struggling with mental health issues. This is a massive issue. We're trying our best to resolve it. It's I don't know what more to say, but it's not the purview of this commission.
Can I get one more question?
It's gonna be one more.
Yeah. So, this Dixie Highway has a whole lot of dilapidated buildings
Are there anything that the cities or anything could do to help the owners clean it up or get it straightened out where it's not such a broke down, run down so bad?
I don't know what services the city has for that.
Right here. My name is Michael Ball. If I may partially answer that question, I used to be a code enforcement officer, and indeed, I made sure, and others made sure, that those buildings that he's talking about went away. I don't really get the impression that's being done quite as aggressively, but maybe I was just one of a few. But there needs to be a very serious complaint directly to code enforcement regarding particular structures. There was one, well, there have been several that have been torn down rather than the owner being obliged to make the repairs.
Part of the problem we have with that is a lot of these places are abandoned and you can't cite anybody.
Then put them in demo.
So what we did is pass the bill for the city to be able to, at certain points, take them.
Last word. The last word. Just last word. The last word.
I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to let you know, when I was in office, I took 31 buildings down on Dixie Highway, structures or dilapidated or whatever, starting with Pendleton Road and Dixie Highway is the first one. I caught hell over it, but I got it down.
Are you available to be deputized?
Pardon?
Are you available to do the job again?
Oh, no, I didn't have this one here, I would. We got a good person doing it, though.
Well, she's going to deputize you. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Motion adjourned.